Hey guys, so Chief over here. So today I'm just going to be giving you in-depth guide about how you can actually play supports and how you can actually play supports right. So I'm assuming that most of you people who are watching right now are probably players who have already played supports, have already played the game for a bit, right? So you already have a brief idea about how the game actually works. And I'll just be very honest over here. This is not going to be like a scripted video where I'm going to be telling you how I've scripted this video. It's just going to be like me giving you some general tips on how you can actually elevate your gameplay. So first thing about support is that you just need to be clear about what you're going to be playing as a support, right? Because if you ask me to divide supports, it's just going to be like two half of it, right? So first thing, you have tank supports, like as you can see in the gameplay also, right? It's just gonna be like me playing Thane, which is a tank support, right? So this is one class of support. So the other class of support is that you have champions like the caster supports, right? Basically, supports which help your team enhance abilities more than like just tanking for the team, right? And so examples for that would be something like Alice, something like Piora, something like basically some supports like this, right? So one thing in this game which is like very common is that you can basically support with everything, right? But at the beginner level, I wouldn't recommend you to support with basically everything, because basically, like if you ask me, right, like mere hisab se support, so it's just going to be like more like providing utility to your team and providing those engage options. So the one thing which you would be requiring as a support is presence of mind and watching the map, right? So if you guys are going to be noting down like what's happening in the video right now, not just the video, right? Like if you're going to be noting down like as a concrete point on how to get better as a support, first thing is learn to watch the minimap. Because if you have learned to watch the minimap, and then like, that just means that you are a better player by itself. It just elevates your gameplay as a player by itself and not just as a support player, right? Because maybe like if you're watching the gameplay, which is just there going to be like a reference point for you to as a player support. A few minutes back, like we had an invade going on, and like we had to go as a support, right? And just me going there created so much impact and so much difference. So as a general tip, I would say. For the support, how to get better as a support, learn to watch the minimap and be that when your team needs you to be there, right? Because usually people think in the game, right, usually people think supports are supposed to be going on the duo lane. As a fact, yes, supports are going to be going in the duo lane, but you need to be for your entire gameplay needs to be more oriented towards your team, right, and not just the ADC. So that's just going to be your second tip. If you feel your ADC is not good enough, or if you feel your ADC is like kind of like missing his skills, and like if you think he does not have the potential to carry, so don't focus the entire game around the ADC, but rather focus your game more towards the team, right? Because if a jungler gets ahead, if a minion gets ahead, they can still carry the game. ADCs are important, but if you feel your ADC is like lackluster, if he doesn't have the potential to carry the game, then just like just revolve your gameplay around more around your mid laners and your more around junglers, right? So that would be the second tip. You just first step, like just to sum it up, the first step is just going to be like getting more aware about the map and seeing what's going on in the map, and you should prioritize where you're supposed to be. And the second tip is that you don't always need to revolve your gameplay around your ADC. You're more like a team player. You're more like a support to the entire team, not just a tank for the ADC. And that's the reason for the name, like you are called support, right? So don't revolve your gameplay around ADC and just watch the map and see where you require more and just speed that. So yes, that's the second tip. You don't need to be sticking with your ADC all the time. You can be like, it's okay if you stick around your jungler or your mid lane as well. And then finally, like just coming to like more specific tips, right? Because abhi tak maine jo bhi bola hai, just more general tips, right? Ki how you can actually become a better player by watching the map. And of course if you're a support, then it's just going to be like more about how playing around the better carry player, right? And now talking more about the more specific tips, right? So we here, first thing is the most important thing which you're supposed to do as a support is buy the support item, right? Buy the support item, the earth gem, not the earth gem, the elemental gem, right? I'll just be putting a screenshot of what you can build as a support, at least as a tank support, the earth gem, the fire gem, the water gem. So I just like you telling you a brief things about what exactly a gem does. The pallet cheese is strictly if you're in a support position, right? That's the very first thing you need to be doing. Buy the earth gem, right? Earth gem, you have to buy the fire or water gem. So earth gem is basically elemental gem, right? Firstly, buy the elemental gem, right? Because once you have the elemental gem, and then you can evolve or upgrade it into like whatever gem you want. So elemental gem is basically like letting your team know you're going to be playing support for your team, and then you are not going to be stealing their XP. So the game is going to be giving you provision key, like if you have the elemental gem, no matter what hero you play, right, you're not going to be stealing your teammates XP, right? And that's a really good thing. So this actually gives you permission to use supports, I mean use anything basically as a support, right? But if you're a beginner, I would recommend you start with something, a very simple support, right? So like as I already mentioned, there are two types of support: caster support and tank support. So if you're a beginner, I would like give you tips to just start with Thane as your main tank support and as Alice as your main caster support. So obviously like you can just like go through the skills, and I mean they are like pretty easy simple champions to play. So I mean it's just going to be very easy for all of you to start with these champions. And so talking more about the supports, right? So the elemental gem, right? So you're going to be buying the elemental gem. That's the very first thing you're going to be doing as a support. I mean, even if you forget everything else, always buy the elemental gem, right? Because that is just going to be like, you know, making sure you don't leash XP and gold from your teammates, which is very required. And you're key, like you are not going to be taking anything away from them. And also the other fact being key, it gives you option to upgrade your elemental gem into 5 unique items, which are, I mean, I'll just be posting a screenshot of that right now. So you can see there are 5 unique things, right? So this is the support item. This is what you call as a support item, right? So this is like one of the most important things, like as a support position, at least in the game, in this game AOV or COT. You need to be having sorry, you need to be building the supports, and I'll just be telling you more about what these items do in particular. But before we go into the in-depth guide of what items do, so I'll just tell you, if you're a tank and if you want to be tanky, build the earth gem. If you're playing as a mage support, as a caster support, basically something which like skills up at AP, something like, not like I wouldn't recommend you going AP support or anything other than I mean like of course, like just don't go AP support, just go for the earth gem. And the fire gem, you can go for something like a Richter or something like let's say you go for something like a Volt card or something like that, right? But as of now, these heroes not there in the game right now, so let's just like, you know, not focus upon them. So usually as a beginner, you're just going to be going for the elemental gem and the earth gem, right? And upgrading them and like whatever seems necessary. And so like I'll just be telling you more about details and how the other things actually work. But before that, I'll just be like telling you how about the Arcana as a support, right? So first thing is you need to realize that you are playing a tank, right? So as a tank support, at least in the gameplay you can see, at least as a tank support, and not just as a tank, right? Anything you play as a support is usually like needs to be tanky, right? Because main things about a support is that you need to be engaging. Right? You can't let your jungle engage, you can't let your mid lane engage. Like you are supposed to be the one who engages, and your team follows up on you, right? So understand this in your mind first. You need to be the one to engage, and so if you are going to be the one to engage, very logically speaking, you need to be beefy, right? You need to be having some amount of health points in you, and that comes from items and Arcana, right? So items is something which is going to be changing every single game, but Arcana is something which is going to be consistently there with you, right? So for the Arcana, like the ones which I already put up in the video, you can like go through that, and that's the only thing which you need to be using. You don't need to be overthinking Arcana matters. Arcana, I mean changing Arcana is going to be mattering a lot. So like you can just go to the start of the video and you can see the Arcana I have put up. That's the best one for like any support which you're going to be playing. And I think that'll work out for most of the supports, like let's say Arvane, Tara, Lumber, Mina, everyone, basically every support, right? And even on Thane, basically of course on Thane. So that is going to be like a very overall rounded Arcana. I think I'm not really sure about the names, but you can just go to the start of the video and like find them out. So that's going to be there. And then you can like figure out the I mean after that, let's not just overthink that. You can just use that, like just like you can just just go for that. Trust me, you can just go for that, and it'll work out for basically every support, every tank support you want, and even for basically every caster support you want as well, right? Because if you're going to be going into the advanced support basics, then yes, you'll be changing Arcana a bit. But let's not get into that, since this is just going to be like a beginner level guide and actually how to get better as a support player, right? So in the early game, you are just going to be playing around your team and playing around jungle, right? So first thing is, like as I already mentioned, the first step, right? The first step is watching the map, and by watching the map, which also means you need to be able to give vision to your teammates, right? And what I mean by vision over here is that your teammates need to be knowing okay, what's happening in the map, right? Because I mean, for example, ganking, right? Your jungle is going to be ganking. So if you guys don't know what ganking is, I'll be releasing a jungle guide very soon, advanced jungle guide. Basically all the guides are coming up very soon. So basically what ganking means is that I'll just be like telling in very brief details in very simple English what ganking is. So ganking means you as a jungler or as a mid laner, you going to one of the lanes and trying to put your laner ahead by getting him some sort of advantage, right? Either it be in terms of gold, or either it be in terms of lane pressure, or either it be in terms of the tower taking abilities, right? So that's what basically ganking is. So basically as a support, you are going to be like, you are responsible for preventing ganks and responding to ganks, right? So that is going to be happening only if you're going to be watching the map and just providing optimal vision. And not just that, right? Because as a support, it's not just the jungler's responsibility to like lead a successful gank. It like obviously comes from laner, and as a support, that's like a very crucial job which you need to be doing, right? So for that, early game you just need to be aware of ganks, because I mean, talking from jungler's point of view, 130, 140 is the point where you need to be ganking some lane, right? So as a support, you need to be aware that the jungler and or the mid laners will be rotating at 130, 140. By 130, 140, I mean 1 minute 30 seconds, 1 minute 45 seconds. I think that's 1 minute 45 seconds and stuff like that. So you need to be aware of that, and then just be like playing a bit safe at that point. And this also like applies to ADCs, right? Because you're gonna be getting ganked at that time, so you got to be playing a bit safer. And then again, talking more about what you're gonna be doing in the mid game, right? You're gonna be like providing vision to your teammates over here, right? Because but like in the mid game, you're always gonna be around. Your teammates are gonna be around, so you need to be playing a little bit more aggressive and creating opportunities, right? Because I mean, engage ho gaya, you have already got the lead, and even if you're behind, right, you need to be playing a bit passive over here. So you need to be focusing more in the mid game. You need to be focusing more on engaging nicely and engaging strategically than just engaging blindly, right? So this is the most important tip which I can give you over here, because I mean in the mid game, objectives are what's going to be mattering, right? So your entire positioning, your entire revolving around the map should be around the objectives. So you need to be playing around the objectives very much. And in the late game, of course, like as you can see in the game by itself, right? Like we are like in the 13 minutes of the game. So in the mid game, like as you can see, like I'm always around the objectives. I'm always trying to fix someone off, and in return you always get poked, right? So this is another important tip. While giving vision, don't get too much poked, right? Because if you get too much poke, you're just going to be losing out on engage ability by itself, right? So don't get too much poke. Like just don't make the mistakes that I just did over here. Because if you see, I got too much poked, I had to go back, and like that's the reason why you lost in the tower, right? So don't get too much poked, like in terms of giving vision, but you need to be having an optimal balance between both, right? Giving vision and getting poked. So this only comes from experience. This only comes from time. So I don't expect any of you who are beginners to actually kind of get strike the right balance right in the start. But yeah, it just comes over time. And as for finally coming to like let's just talk more about the gameplay over here, right? So as a Thane, you're always like this is like, I'm just gonna be like a little more specific. As a Thane, you're always supposed to be pushing people in, right? So I mean, now I just like effed it up. I just chiefed it over here, but that's a different thing. But as a Thane, you're always going to be engaging over here. Like just look at my teammates engaging, and like me also, like just providing the right kind of vision, just like zoning enemies away, right? And again, the aspect of zoning enemies away is a very advanced part of vision, right? Because if you are going to be showing yourself on the map and not showing, giving opponents vision key, you're going to be that, so they won't be obviously approaching the area where you are there, right? Because they know your teammates are going to be around there, right? And this is going to be posting people down. So zoning and vision is important aspect of support, but just don't worry too much about it. 'Cause it's just going to be coming from experience, because now that we are in the late game, right? So late game starts for me personally. Late game starts after 15 minutes of the game, after 14 minutes of the game, because that's when the Dark Slayer spawns. So usually you need to be focusing on ending the game before that. But if the game is going to be lasting this long, you just need to be there in the game. And also, yes, coming to the most important aspect of support, the support items, right? So now the screenshot will be posted like right now, and then you can see like there are 5 things, actually 6 things. So basically, like, you don't need to worry about all of them, but as a beginner, I'll just give you 3 things, right? First thing is the shield, right? So this is just going to be working out for you basically in every case. The shield item, which actually if you tap on it, it's actually active, right? So first thing you need to understand, these abilities are active. You need to be using them optimally and using them at the right time. So first thing is the vision, which gives you vision around the shield, right? Which actually gives shield to all of your teammates for a brief amount of time. So you need to be building this when the opponents are a bit bursting you down, and so you need a little bit of extra shield. The next one is the vision. You need to be using the vision, the magic vision thing. It actually gives you vision around your hidden bushes, right? Because this is that aspect, right? I was mentioning zoning and vision, right? So you need to be giving some sort of vision, some sort of without, like, you can't take poke every single time, right? And that's the reason why this item is made. So you need to be having some sort of vision abilities. So this is going to be helping you out in that. And also, like, especially against champions like Villain, especially against champions like Quillen, Wukong, you need to be having this. And other one is cleansing, right? So this is the one of the best support items. I would recommend you going for this in not really most of the games, but in games this is just going to be the game changing, right? Because cleansing by itself is going to be meaning you're going to be having anti CC. So anti CC, CC is crowd control abilities, and this is like these are the abilities which prevent you from even moving the joysticks. Like, let's say example, like Azumka, Daio-chan, Alistar, and there are a lot of other stuns basically, right? Stuns and immunity things, right? So when you use CC, your cleansing, it actually prevents you and your teammates to not get any CC, and take out any CC for the next 2 seconds as well, right? So I would recommend you to go for at least only the 3 of these. I don't recommend you to go for any of the other items, cause I mean, you don't need to be overthinking this aspect a lot. If you feel there's no hard CC, just go for shields. If you see there is hard CC in opponent, then just go for the cleansing. And if you feel the vision is required, for example, late game where you need some vision, not just late game, right? Like if you see Wukong, Villain or that, just go for the vision item. The other 3 support items, I really wouldn't recommend any of you just going for the other 3 support items, because it's basically just useless. Just don't go for that. It's not going to be helping you out anywhere. So just revolve around you building the 3 support items which I just mentioned: the CC, the cleansing, the shield, and the vision one, right? So just the 3 things that I'm going to be recommending all of you to be going. Nothing more than that. And also again, your building, right? How you're going to be building your support. So first thing is, like, use the recommended build. Like, nothing wrong in using the recommended build, because I mean, I'll be making a guide on how to build whatever you play. I mean, in some time in the near future, you can look out for that. So for that, it would mean a lot to me if you guys could subscribe to the channel and stuff. So and also, like, for more as a build, right? So as a support, at least as a support on a tank, you need to be building tankiness, right? So most often you can always, like, 9 out of 10 cases, you can just go for the recommended builds. Nothing wrong in that. But like for very specific champions, if you feel you're having too much, so opponents are like just doing too much magic damage, so you can just build medallion. And if you feel opponents are having too much attack speed, you can just build Shield of Loss, right? So these are the only 2 items which you feel you need to be changing. I don't think there's anything more than which you need to be changing in your build, like at least as a beginner. If you feel opponents have ज़्यादा magic damage, just swap out your Gaias for your medallion. And if you feel कि opponent ने कुछ ज़्यादा attack speed है, just build the Shield of Loss, right? Instead of your Mail of Pain, right? So this is just going to be helping you out a lot, and by you just making you a little bit more tanky and a little bit more aware of the game. So yes, this is like pretty much all my tips. So just to sum it up, I'll just be putting up a card. First thing is the Arcana. Use the Arcana which I just set for support. You can use the Arcana which I just set for support and use it up. The second one is that you can just use up. Second one is just building the support item, the elemental gem, for which I just gave a very detailed explanation on how you can build and what you can build. The red, the blue, or the yellow one, the earth, a water or fire one. And then the advanced of it, which like I just said, you can just go for the shield, the cleansing or the vision, just don't go for anything else. And then comes the aspect of you giving your supports and ganking, like giving vision, getting gank and zoning and stuff, right? So as you can see in the gameplay by itself, like if you guys are noticing the gameplay and not the voice, so I pretty much did like zoning and engaging, right? Because that's the most important aspect of a support, the zoning and engage aspect of it. And then comes you building right? Because even if you build wrong, like that is a very important aspect, you building the support right. So over here, as you can see, I tank 30% of the team's thing, right? So yes, with this we're going to be coming to an end of the guide, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. So make sure you subscribe and like to the channel, and I'll just be